Hey guys, what's up? I'm in my car right now. I'm in Langley. Can't really tell, but it's stay out. I wanted to make this video because I was at a speaker event recently. It was the first speaker event that I ever got invited to, so super exciting for me. And it was by a club called UBC Biz China. Like, I'll throw up a couple pictures here. But there were a couple of questions that were asked over and over again that I wanted to make a video about, just in case you're also a first year or junior year university student that's also kind of lost and has a lot of questions around career and I guess life to some extent. So the first person that I talked to for quite a while asked me a lot of questions around what path to choose. And the situation was that she was feeling pretty lost and didn't know whether or not to go into a more developer based role or job versus a more business based role or job. So, like, a software developer versus like a product manager, which is what I work as. And I remember when I was a university student and also throughout my years in university, there were moments when I felt so fucking lost. And there were moments when I questioned where I was going and what it was all for and what I wanted to do for the rest of my life and all that jazz. And the answer that I gave her was essentially, you have all these options that you want and think might work out in terms of jobs. Like, you're like, oh, I think I might want to do this software thing because I might like it, but what about this business thing? I might like that too. And I just said, just try it. It's the most generic answer ever, but it's so true, and it's true for me. Like, I've tried a bunch of different hobbies, and in terms of jobs, I've also dabbled in a couple areas as well. Like, I'm not just a software developer. I've tried being in a more QA role. I've tried working at a company that's more hardware based instead of software based, and then I transitioned over to product management. So try it. And the missing part of my answer after this event and thinking back on the answers that I gave, the missing part that I wanted to add was, you have time. And I think that's something that is commonly overlooked when you're in university, especially when I was in university. Like, it's something that I wasn't super mindful of, is you have time. Like, I was talking to a first year. I'm like, you're in first year. You have time to try different internships. You have time to try these things out. And if you don't want to spend a bunch of time trying stuff out, just talk to people. When I transitioned into product management, I didn't want to make the same mistake that I made with software development. So I talked to people that were in product management, and I asked them, what is one thing that you like about your job, and what is one thing that you don't like about your job? And that second question is important because I wanted to know what the shitty parts of this job was, so that I could know whether or not I could deal with it. And so basically, if you're fucking lost and you have a lot of things that you want to do, then try them. And if you have things that you want to do, but you don't want to spend like 4 months or 8 months or however long an internship is figuring it out and seeing from experience if you like it, then talk to someone in that field. The second thing that I want to talk about in this video is, a lot of people asked me about why I transitioned from being a developer to being a product manager. And career transitions are always quite interesting, but there's two main reasons if I was to break it down. The first is, I just was not as passionate about my job as I wanted to be. Like, I had friends that were software developers, and they would go home after work and do more coding. Like, they would code at work, and they would go home and they would do more coding because they had personal projects, or like, they had like a website they wanted to build, and they found that fun. And I'm like, I can't do that. That is not me. And for me, being passionate at my job, at least to some degree, is important because we spend more than half of our lives at our jobs. And if I'm going to spend that much time at my job, then there's got to be at least a certain threshold that I have to pass in terms of passion to keep on staying at that job. So that's reason number one. And then reason number two is, I was consistently miserable. Like, I got to a point where I was consistently miserable at my job when I was a developer. And I went around when I talked to people, like when I talked to the product managers, when I was basically more or less interviewing product managers on what they liked and didn't like about their job, I asked them, I was like, what percentage of the time at your job are you miserable? Because it's not zero, right? Like no one's ever 100% happy at their job 100% of the time, right? So like what percentage is that? And one of the product managers that I talked to, she said, I don't know if she was a product manager, I think she was like a business analyst or something, but anyway, she said 40%. It was either 30% or 40%. I'll check my notes and I'll put it, because I took notes when I talked to these people. I'll put it on the screen here if it's different. But I think it was 40%. She was like, 40% of the time, I'm not happy at my job. And to me, that is bearable. And so I was like, okay, well, for me right now, it's like 100%. Like every single day I go in and I'm just like, I'm not happy here. Something has to change. Like I can't keep on living this way. Like something has to change, right? And so that is why I decided to look for other opportunities in other areas, because I wasn't passionate enough, and dude, I was just consistently miserable. So if you're in university and you have a lot of questions around what you want to do and where you want to go, I think you're asking the right questions. So just keep on going and try different things, and yeah, I hope this helps. As always, I hope you learned something, and I will see you around in the next video. Peace.